Good morning. Happy Sunday to you all. So today we're going to be doing a quick review on A Promised Land by Barack Obama. It's a memoir, autobiography. I just call it a biography, right? It's a two-part book, but the first part, which is called A Promised Land, was released November 17, 2020, currently on the New York Times bestseller list. 27 chapters in 7 parts. Part 1 is called The Bet. Part 2 is called Yes We Can. Part 3 is called Renegade. Part 4 is called The Good Fight. Part 5, The World as It Is. Part 6, In the Barrel. And Part 7, On the High Wire. And I am still reading the book. It is a lengthy read. I think I'm currently at The Good Fight. So I think the reason Barack decided to write this book and release it at this time was because this was the opportunity for him to tell his story in his own words, provide explanation, clarify, and it was also a time for him to do some self-reflection. He mentions in the book that he had actually been writing this once the stuff was over. He carried his yellow pad and he's been writing things down as they come to him. So there was probably a lot of self-reflection, because there are many parts in the book in which he says, you know, thinking about this and thinking about what was going on, maybe I should have done this or stuff like that. So it's a lot of self-reflective work. I have going to be quite honest with you guys. I've read Becoming by Michelle Obama. I wrote a review on that on my blog site. I think it's pamelareviews.wordpress.com, and in which I review Michelle Obama's Becoming. And when I was reading Barack's book, I was comparing both books, basically. I know that these are two different stories, even though Michelle was Barack's wife and she was telling the story of her life, you know, and how, of course, she'll have to talk about her work with her life with Barack too. So I wanted to see if both of them had the same view about their marriage, and they did. Barack is very open that Michelle is a private person, very quick-witted, very strong woman, to be able to juggle a lot of things. He is even very clear that the fact that he's able to go and get as far as he did is because he was married to someone like her. And in Michelle's book, she talks about her struggles, juggling all those things, some of the compromises that she had to make as a mother, as a woman, as a wife. You know, she talks about, you know, her feelings, you know, when she saw that she was married to someone that basically had a political future, while she just wanted to do her thing and live her private life. But the political future her husband had was something that was going to basically put her love for privacy in the limelight. So she had to come up with a way of actually handling that, and it was a struggle for her and for their marriage at one point. The only difference is that in the book is that Michelle is quite open about her struggle with infertility, while Barack kind of glosses over that part. He doesn't really even go into it. He just like, okay, and one day I got a call and Michelle told me we did it, you know, the end, boom. You know, so anyway, I'm a woman, so I will be interested in that, you know. So I think the question really should have been for me is, who is Barack's intended audience? Who does Barack want to read this book, you know? And I don't know whether he wanted women to read it, because we want to know exactly what were your thoughts on this part, but what do I know? So beyond all of that, another thing I liked about this book is that Barack was very open about certain struggles. He talks about his student loan debt. He talks about housing issues. He talks about how the subprime lending thing that occurred in the United States affected him. He talks about, you know, having an overdrawn American Express card, juggling debt, you know, being middle class, I would even say upper middle class, and yet having all this and trying to pay it, and you know, the struggles that the average person on the street goes with. He had to go through that. So for many people who are like, oh my God, I'm so average, there's nothing that I'm never going to get off this, I'm not going to make something of my life, he was going through similar stuff, and he did. So, you know, yes, you can, I guess. Another thing I actually enjoyed about this book is that you can get to see the fact that he has a background, that he's a lawyer, and he has a background in policy, and he was also a teacher. He was a professor, and you can see that in the way he writes, because he breaks things down to the nitty details so that you can understand why certain decisions were made, and why he chose certain decisions, and why he walked a particular path, whether in a part of history or where he deviated a bit. And he was also very open too about how he was very aware of what people expected, and when he didn't meet people's expectations. One of them is in this subprime lending issue that affected the housing market in the United States. It was a housing crisis, which really, beyond affecting the people who had homes and purchased homes in the United States, it affected the perception of the United States on the global front, because a lot of people were invested in houses here, and basically kind of just spiraled and broke apart their lives for many of them. So he's very open about that, and he's very open and saying, yes, they did the bailout and they helped the financial industry, but what people's expectations were as to what he was going to do next, he didn't do it. He didn't go and do a cleanup, a direct cleanup, which is what they expected, to change how things were run, and he didn't do that. Another thing he said that I really liked was one in which he says, you know, it is awesome that you want to change the world, but wanting to change the world on its own is almost egotistical. So you have to be able to say, okay, I want to change the world, and have a part of selflessness. The selflessness part has to be the bigger part of it, you know, because if you just want to change the world, you're just like a megalomaniac, you know. But if you want to change the world because you want to make the world better for other people, and that is the push for what's going the path you want to go, then that is something that you should do, you know. There are so many things I could talk about, you know. It could be a very lengthy video, but it's 7 minutes now, and I think this is the longest video I've had. So I'm going to stop right here. And I hope we get to talk. As I mentioned, I am currently in The Good Fight, and that's where he's going to probably talk about the war that people still talk about when they talk about Barack Obama. And hopefully next time I come on here to complete the review, which will be next week, I can go into details about that. One of the things you're going to enjoy his political race. You're going to enjoy the characters he talks about, their personalities, because he goes into the descriptions about who they are, why the way he describes Joe Biden, you know, you giggle. The way he talks about people that helped to put together his campaign, you giggle. You know, he talks about each person. And my only critique so far, you know, of this book, to the point at which, is that the women in his story seem to almost be silent. You know, yes, we talk about Hillary Clinton because she was definitely a force, you know. And he talks about Pelosi too. You know, I think she gets 2 or 3 lines. You know, it's like women are almost silent. And so unless he's trying to tell me that that is the state of American politics today, or that was the state of American politics at that time, I'm left wondering, why is it that when you were looking for certain people to be in top positions, you never considered women? Is it that there were no women at that time, or it just never crossed your mind, or nobody ever brought them to your attention? I don't know. Again, that's me. So till next time, pick up your book, Barnes & Nobles, Amazon, the public library, get your name on that line. And you can check on all those minimalist sites, because as many minimalists read their book, they tend to sell it or give it away. So till next time, take care, God bless, and ciao.